Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Babhuva Tadasya Rupam Pratichakshanaya Indro Mayabhihi Pururupam Iyate Yuktahyasya Harayah Shatadasha Iti Ayam Vai Harayah Ayam Vai Dasha Cha Sahasrani Bahuni Cha Anantani Cha Tadetad Brahma Apurvam Anaparam Anantaram Abahyam Ayamatma Brahma Sarvanubhuhu Iti Anushasanam. To show that this Bhagavan, in the form of the conscious being, equipped with the power to create, to sustain, to resolve, is not separate from the creation, has in fact entered every aspect of the creation. We have what technically is called Anupravesha Shruti. Anupravesha means entry, as though entry. Because this the Upanishad has to talk to us in terms that we can follow and understand. So, just like you have entered the room, similarly Bhagavan has entered many rooms in the form of so many bodies, so many minds. And since Ishvara, Bhagavan, is whole and limitless and free, this entry is as though it's like even the cup space entering the cup. And so the space has as though entered the cup, and similarly this Bhagavan, limitless like space, has as though entered so many bodies, so many minds, so many forms. So this is what is called Anupravesha Shruti, the portion of the Shruti or the Upanishad that deals with the non-separateness of Bhagavan from the universe, that the universe is sanctified by Bhagavan's presence. Not just sanctified, the universe is indeed nothing but Bhagavan. But Bhagavan is not the universe. To show this, we have various iterations, and here also we have one particular iteration. The most famous iteration, of course, occurs in the Taittiriya Upanishad, where it is said, where the following mantra comes, Saha akamayata, so kamayat, bahusyam praja gegeti, satapo tapyata, satapas taptva, idagam sarvam asrijata, yadidam kincha, tat srishtva, tadevanupravishat, tadanu pravishya satyatyaccha bhavat. This is the most famous and the directly understood iteration in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Saha, this great being of the nature of the one who is equipped with the power to create, sustain and resolve the universe, contemplated, thought, akamayat, desired. Oh, even Ishvara starts to have desire? Then there is still hope for me, one can think. But Ishvara's desires are not her own. It's basically the Jiva's desire, the individuals who are in a state of repose. They are in that oneness and they want to say, let me out. Give me a body. I have far too many desires to fulfill. Make a body for me now. And that desire, Ishvara says, Tathastu. So Ishvara desires, and then what? Bahu. And what is the desire? Bahusyam prajayeya. May I as though become many. And then having become many, what? May I create. And then what? Satapo tapyata. Ishvara contemplated on what? One small child asked me, we all meditate on Lord Shiva, but then we often see photos of Lord Shiva in meditation. What is Lord Shiva meditating upon? If we meditate on Lord Shiva, what is Lord Shiva meditating upon? Very sweet and beautiful question. A very thoughtful child, introspective child. And what I said is, Shiva is meditating on his own glory, which is the same as your own glory. And when you are happy, whatever that is what Shiva is meditating upon. So here, tapotapyata means the Lord contemplated on the previous cycle of the creation, and then brought forth the upcoming cycle of creation, took the raw materials, which are none other than himself, in the form of knowledge, borrowed that from the previous cycle of creation. Why? Because the previous cycle of creation worked. It was infallible. So why reinvent the wheel? The blueprint is already there. It was simply recalled. And then what? So tapas taptva, having contemplated on the previous cycle of creation, idagam sarvam asrijata yadidam kincha, whatever is here, all of it was created, rather manifest. Tat srishtva, having created what? The names and forms, then tadeva anupravishat, in the form of Satchidananda Atma, that consciousness, that awareness which is whole, which is you, entered into each and every aspect of the creation. And then not only entered, tad anupravishya satcha tyaccha abhavat. Sat means that which has form here in this context. Tyat means that which is formless, like Vayu, etc., space, air, they don't have forms, so to speak. So then entered into everything, and as though became the universe. There is no becoming here, but to show that non-separateness, that is what is talked about. And this is how the universe must be understood, as we have been talking. Once the veneer of subjectivity is removed, the universe shines brightly as Ishvara. Whatever you like happens, Ishvara. Whatever you don't like happens, Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara, and to get to that place is very important. An important aspect of this teaching, of internalizing this teaching, is to first see everything as Bhagavan, and then once this Bhagavan is understood, then to see everything as the truth of oneself alone. So therefore, Sage Dadhyang says here, Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Babhuva. So, Rupam means according to every form, each and every form, in accordance to that form, because every form has a gross body, like the frog body. And then the frog body will not have a human mind, will have a frog subtle body in the form of a frog mind, frog senses. And then so the frog is oriented towards its environment in a different way than the human being is oriented towards their environment. And so it's all very nicely and infallibly matched up. Never, for example, you will have a human body with a frog mind. That will never happen. Imagine the person is sitting in a meeting and a mosquito comes by and the person puts the tongue out and catches the mosquito right in the middle of the meeting. Will never happen. Or the person suddenly feels like jumping and jumps from one end of the table to the other just because frog mind, human body, that mismatch will not be there. So that's what is the infallibility of the creation. So the creation is non-separate from Bhagavan. The creation has the presence of Bhagavan in each and every form. Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Babhuva. Pratirupo means exactly how that form should be, that Bhagavan has become. Tadasya Rupam Pratichakshanaya. In order to appreciate the form of Bhagavan, we have to assimilate one more thing here. Indra, here Indra is not the same one that tried to behead the teacher. Not Indra as the king of heaven, but here who is this Indra? Indra here is the Lord. Indra is Bhagavan, the Lord. And so this Lord, Indra, Maya Bhihi, along with many Mayas. Ayyayo, what to do now? Even one Maya is difficult to understand. Even one Maya is difficult to cross. Here plural, more than two. Maya Bhihi. In Sanskrit we have dual and plural. So, Maya, through one Maya, Mayabhyam, two Mayas, and more than two Mayas, Maya Bhihi. This is a difficult challenge here. This is very, very challenging to see how, even one Maya is difficult to cross. We have been talking about the Avarna Shakti, the power to cover. That which covers one from the truth of oneself. We have been talking about Vikshepa, that everything is a projection, starting with one's own personal projection. And ignorance is the covering. We have discussed that. And so one Maya is in fact difficult to cross. Then what to do about so many Mayas? Perhaps the only thing to say is so many Mayas, so little time. Maybe we should say that and move on. But no, that is not what the Upanishad is trying to say. Maya Bhihi means, since there is more than two, we can say Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti Bhihi. So Ichha Shakti, the power to desire. And the desire comes before creation, because there must be some, see, for this Satchidananda Atma, which does not act, which does not have intentionality, which is not equipped to desire, there must be something else that converts this Satchidananda Atma into that Bhagavan, which invests it with the power to desire, the power to create, the power to enter the creation, the power to quote unquote become, as it were, non-separate from the creation. So that power is Maya. So Ichha Shakti, the power to desire, and then Kriya Shakti, to the power to actually execute that Sankalpa, and then that which backs up the power to desire and the power to create is the knowledge, Jnana Shakti. So this is all manifestations of Maya. But what is this Maya? Maya cannot be a parallel reality to Brahman. Otherwise we'll have two things. We'll have, on the one hand, we will have Brahman, and then we will have Maya, and then we can no longer say that we are into Advaita. We cannot say that we are studying Vedanta anymore. So therefore what? So this Maya is basically, it is not a parallel reality. It is an as-though power. It is an as-though Shakti, Kalpita Shakti, an as-though power that equips this Satchidananda Atma to quote unquote move, think, visualize, create, enter into the various aspects of the creation, all the forms. It is this as though power. Now the second question that is frequently asked is, where did this power come from? Where else? From that Brahman alone. An imaginary as though power has as though created. That's why we have to say as though. That's why we don't use the word srishti too much, creation. It is more of a abhivyakti, manifestation. Avyakta, unmanifest. Vyakta, manifest. This is how the whole cycle of creation proceeds, from avyakta to vyakta, unmanifest to manifest, unmanifest to manifest, from manifest unmanifest. And this is a good way of assimilating it, because then silly questions like where did this creation come from, where did it go, it never came, it never went. Just like the clay did not become the cup. Clay is still clay. It is in a manifest form. And suppose I were to drop it, and then, then it goes back to clay, so to speak. And a better example is gold and ornament. The bangle did not did not come. The gold did not become bangle. The bangle is there, the bracelet is there, the chain is there, the nose stud is there, earrings are there, and all these are nothing but a manifest form of gold. You take them to the jeweler, in no time they are melted. Back to gold they go, without having the gold having undergone any change whatsoever. So therefore this coming and going is only from the standpoint of the rupas and the namas. From the name and form standpoint, you said, oh, the creation has come. This kalpa has come. We even have a name for this kalpa. White pig period, we call it. Shweta Varaha kalpa. Why the kalpa, the time frame of the white boar or white pig, whatever you want to call it. Shvetavaraha Kalpa, it has a name. And then this period, from the standpoint of the name and form, then we can try to trace its roots and then say, oh, this is what the form looks like, this is what the name looks like, etc., etc. But from the standpoint of Brahman, there is no change that has happened. From the standpoint of the golden chain, the chain can say, then the chain can go to ancestry.com and trace its lineage. before before I was a big lump of gold, I was sitting in a locker, and then I changed hands, and then I became the chain. Like this, you can have the chain can go from the standpoint of the chain. It has antecedents and precedents and all these things. Something that comes before, something that comes after. But from the standpoint of the gold, it has not undergone any change. It has not become the change, the chain. And so therefore, the same thing we have to assimilate here. Bhagavan has not become the universe. Bhagavan is just manifest as the universe. In fact, the universe is non-separate from Bhagavan. And this Maya Shakti, which helps Bhagavan, which helps Brahman to quote unquote dawn on the cape of Bhagavata. Bhagavata means Bhagavanness. That Maya Shakti is in the form of varied and many iterations, in the form of that power which creates, which sustains, which resolves, the power to know, the power to the power to through which the one has as though manifest as many. And from the standpoint of the individual, that knowledge which covers, that power which covers the knowledge of this oneness, this is what it is. So therefore now, this leads us to a very important segment in the teaching, that which has come from Bhagavan, what shall we call all the names and forms? What shall we call them? They are all Satchidananda, yes, but then, the name and form here is inhabited by Satchidananda. So therefore, the name and form, we cannot call it non-existent. We cannot call all the things, like even this cup, we cannot call it non-existent because it is here and it holds some water, and then it has some purpose, because now it has become a teaching cup. I tried to put some water in it, it all came out, because it is just it doesn't have any glaze or anything, so it doesn't even hold water. So therefore it is a Vedanta teaching cup from now on, and so therefore that is its function. It has a form, it has a function, and then what is the reality of this cup? So we cannot say that this is real. Why? Because the clay is what is real from the standpoint of this cup. Clay has that reality. But you cannot dismiss it as non-existent because I am holding it and you are able to see it. So there are at least two means of knowing: eyes, your eyes, and my sense of touch, that is objectifying this cup as we speak. And so the cup cannot be dismissed, and the cup cannot be affirmed as a self-standing reality, because the whole of the cup is dependent upon its material, its truth, the clay. So the word Satyam is taken away by clay. And you cannot call this cup non-existent, and so therefore what? We say it is as though existent. It has an as though separation, but really it cannot be either affirmed nor denied. That is what is the meaning of Maya. Another word for Maya is Mithya. This is what is Mithya. The whole Jagat is like that. The whole Jagat is like that. Everything is mithya, 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 mithya. Mithya doesn't mean false. Mithya is got two definitions. One is adhishthana ananyatvam asti. So for mithya, the mithya is non-separate from the source. Mithya is nothing but Satchidananda plus a name and form. And so from the standpoint of name and form, we call it Mithya, because it is completely drawing its existence from the Atma, which is Satchidananda, which is the only source of existence, the only source of knowledge, the only thing that is limitless and self-sentient. So everything draws its existence from that alone. So that is Mithya. First definition is this, that it is non-separate from the source. So wherever there is Mithya, Sat is not far away. Sat is backing the Mithya. And then the second definition is what we already talked about: cannot be affirmed, cannot be dismissed or denied. It's in between existence and non-existence. This is what has to be understood. Everything is betwixt and between. Starting with the cup, starting with one's own body, you try to look into the body, then each thing, there is no reality in itself. What is this body? Is the head the body? No, that's the head. Come on, don't you have a head to know that that's just the head? Okay, then what? Is the neck the body? No, that's the neck. Is the torso the body? No, you already named it torso or the trunk. Is this hand the body? No, that is this left hand. Is this hand the body? On the other hand, that's not the body. And then this is not the body. Then what is this body? Oh, everything put together is the body. Put it together, what will you get? So this is what it is. You will get some kind of a doll. You'll get a doll if you put it together. But if Bhagavan puts this body together, then you have a walking, talking, breathing miracle called a Jiva. This is the difference. So the whole thing is put together, and when you try to analyze each thing, it falls apart right in front of you. Anything you take a simple flower. Which part of the flower is flower? Is the petal flower? No, that's the petal. Is the stamen flower? No, that's the stamen. Is the stem flower? No, that's the stem. The whole thing put together is the flower. So everything that is put together magically comes together, which cannot be replicated by human hands. And then what? And then it falls apart. You don't even have to destroy the name and form. Analytically, cognitively, it falls apart, leaving behind only that isness, which is all knowledge. Flower knowledge is, and that isness never comes to an end. Ananta. This Satchidananda plus name and form. The problem we have is to take the name and form too seriously and then suffer as a result. So the body falls apart, whether you like it or not, right when we are discussing it. And then what about the mind? The mind also is no different. Where is the mind, first of all? When you do post-mortem, do you get antahkarana, mind? No. Do you get the ahankara, ego, I notion? No. This is what they do in medical school. They dissect the dead body and then, call out this is liver, and then weigh it and put it in some chloroform and keep. And then they will say this is heart. So can you say this is manaha, this is buddhi, this is chittam, this is ahankara? No, because it belongs to some kind of a subtle realm. Then what is the connection of this body to this mind? Mithya, this is what it is. Very, very interesting. It all falls apart. So there is no such thing called mind, really speaking, which can be objectified directly. But it is objectified indirectly when you say, I have a lot of restlessness, I am restless. You are objectifying the mind. You are not restless at all. You are observing. You are the witness that is observing an experience of restlessness. Very, very interesting. So the mind falls apart as we look at it. And so the whole realm of feelings, I don't feel like studying, I don't feel like doing karma yoga, I don't feel like doing whatever there needs to be. All this is a spoof. It is just there in order to overcome it. And so the whole thing is a spoof. And elsewhere in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a very nice expression, dhyayati iva. So this jiva decides to meditate as though focus, as though concentrate, as though say Om Namah Shivaya and meditate. And then what? Lelayati iva, as though gets distracted from the meditation, as though is still, as though dances, as though focused, as though distracted. It's all as though. The whole Jagat is as though. Hunger as though, food as though, eating as though, even studying Vedanta as though ignorant, as though having gained self-knowledge, as though student, as though teacher. And when this as though is understood and assimilated, then the pains and sorrows attached or connected to the body mind sense complex fly away. They just fly away. There is no place for them because it is as though. Oh, so then I don't have to deal. You just said you spent 2 satsangs talking about the unconscious and taking care of the feelings. Yes, I did, as though. And so I have to take care of the feeling? Yeah, as though. Yes, as though. As though sorrow, as though therapy, as though difficulty, as though yoga, everything is as though. And therefore, the correct perception becomes the proper understanding is what is important. That's why in the Mundaka Upanishad, when Shaunaka, the protagonist of the Mundaka Upanishad, goes to his teacher Angiras and says, "Give me that knowledge, knowing which everything is as good as known." The teacher says, well, there are 2 kinds of knowledges that have to be studied. Dve vidye veditavye. What are they? Let us call one absolute para, knowing which nothing is left to be known. And then another thing is also important to study, apara, the knowledge of objects, the knowledge of the relative, etc. And para is the knowledge of the subject as Brahman, as Satchidanandam, as Bhagavan. So then of course Shaunaka is very intrigued. He had never heard this, that there are 2 kinds of knowledges, etc. So he said, okay, what is para? And the teacher says, let us first list apara. And then to Shaunaka's shock, the teacher starts with the Rig Veda. Rig Veda. I thought Veda is real because it is ultimate, because in the Vedas contain the Upanishads which is going to free me. Rig Veda, which has Aitareya Upanishad gone. It is classified into relative, not absolute knowledge. Yajurvedah, so many Upanishads starting with Kathopanishad gone. And then what? Ishavasya Upanishad gone, everything gone. Rig Vedah, Yajurvedah, Samavedah, Chandogya Upanishad gone. And then Kena Upanishad gone. Atharva Vedah, Mundakopanishad gone, Mandukya Upanishad gone. Everything gone. Then Shaunaka is, flabbergasted. Then he lists everything. Shiksha, pronunciation, Vyakarana, grammar. Everything is just relative knowledge. Relative. Because it is just like everything in the universe. When you look into it, it falls apart. And so everything is relative. Then what is, pray tell, Paravidya? What is the absolute? And it's a very beautiful expression by the teacher in the Mundakopanishad. Yaya aksharam adhigamyate sa para. She is known as the ultimate knowledge through which the akshara, the indeclinable, unchangeable Brahman as the truth of the self is understood. Through which means what? Through yaya buddhi vritya, through which understanding. That understanding in the mind alone is para. Not the mode of understanding, not the books used in understanding, not the guru who is giving the understanding, but the words of the guru which travel from the mouth of the teacher to the ear of the student in the form of a vritti, in the form of a thought. And that vritti is called akhandakara vritti. Akhandakara vritti is that message of oneness. And that message of oneness enters the student's buddhi, the head, the faculty of knowing. And then, of course, being a thought, it self-destructs because it is kshanika. Thought is momentary. But in self-destructing, it has done its job. It has imparted the understanding, I am the whole. This is what happens in the teaching situation. Sometimes, one has what is in America called an aha moment. Aha! Yes, I got it. Aha! That is para. I got it. That is para. Everything else is apara, 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 apara. Why is that para? Why is that I got it para? Because you did not get it as an object. You got it as the truth of you. You got it without objectifying it as some kind of a, some kind of a thing. Like chocolate cake. Seeing the chocolate cake also you say aha. That is why I use chocolate cake. So chocolate cake, aha. But the aha upon seeing the chocolate cake is it does not obliterate the subject-object distinction. But seeing, understanding, assimilating the truth of yourself, that aha moment in which this knowledge has taken place, is indeed that which has freed the jiva from the shackles of samsara. And this is why this mantra is given. Maya bhihi pururupaha iyate. So iyate means takes on many forms, and so all the forms are mithya. And you alone are the Satyam. So basically that Indra, that Bhagavan is you alone. Yukta hi asya harayah shata dasha iti. So wherever you look, you see Hari. Hari here, Hari there, here a Hari, there a Hari, everywhere Hari, Hari. That is what it is. And everything is Hari. And it's all Hari. The word Hari is beautiful. Hari means the harati papani. Ajnanam harati iti Hari. The one that takes away all the omissions and commissions, the guilt and the sorrow, and the one that takes away all the papas, omissions, commissions, etc. is Hari. The one that takes away self-ignorance, through whose grace, is Hari. So how many Haris are there? Wherever you look, it's a Hari. You can say there are tens of thousands of Hari. Shatadasha iti. Hundreds of thousands of Haris. Ayam vai harayah. Ayam vai dasha cha sahasrani cha. Now there are tens and thousands of Hari, which are what? Which proliferate the universe. Anantani cha. Anantani means they are endless. Everything is Bhagavan, everything is Bhagavan. Then tad etad Brahma. This is what is Brahman. Seeing, Ishwarizing the whole universe is the understanding of Brahman, and for which your own personal reality has to be dismantled. We have talked about that at length. By suspending, if not neutralizing completely, at least by suspending the raga and dvesha, the strong prejudices and preferences which put up the scaffolding of this parallel reality. That has to be suspended. That has to be dismantled. The correct knowledge of objects has to take place. The objective knowledge of objects has to take place before the objective knowledge of the subject can take place. So therefore, the whole universe has to be transformed into Bhagavan. What transformed into Bhagavan? In your mind. It's already Bhagavan. Ishwarize the universe. This is what the whole thing is. Everything is seen as Ishvara here, Ishvara there, Ishvara, everything. And that requires a great deal of emotional maturity, for which we have inbuilt sadhanas, karma yoga, the practice of yogasana, all these things. Service, the practice of vak tapas, the yamas and niyamas. Vak tapas means moderation in speech. All this thing leads one to the place of assimilating this knowledge that everything is Bhagavan alone. And whenever you are looking at anything in the creation, you are just looking at tens and thousands of manifestations of Bhagavan. And this is expressed in the poetry of the romantic poets. I really feel like they had studied some Vedanta, or they had this understanding. You read Wordsworth, you read any of these things. Shelley, Keats, all these things, you read all of them. It's just so beautiful. Wordsworth, just was walking, and then he came upon just a field of daffodils growing by the water. And we would have just sort of gone by, or just said, oh, so nice, and then, okay, what's next? But he sat and composed the poem on daffodils. And then what happens, and then he said that those daffodils, may come and go. But that transformation that they have given for me will stay. Because the daffodils just stay for a day. They are a very, what should I say? A very delicate flower. They don't last for very long. But he said that which is everlasting is that which how they have transformed me into understanding that this subject-object separation is the biggest bluff of Maya. And the one that calls the bluff is due to great grace of Bhagavan and Guru. One is able to call this bluff. Bluff means what? You change everything to Hari. Everything is Hari, everything is Ishvara. And then tadetat Brahma purvam. Apurvam means the only thing of its kind. Anaparam, which is never coming to an end. Anantam. And then abahyam. It is no longer the outside universe. The universe shines brightly in your heart. And it is no longer Bhagavan as a separate entity. Why? Because that Bhagavan is you. So the next stage is in understanding everything is me alone. Whatever you see is I. Whatever you see, it is me. Whatever you hear, it is me. Whatever you experience, it is me. It is not Bahya. There is no separation between the outer world and the inner world. It is all one. Just like from the standpoint of a house, you can say, this is living room. This is bedroom. This is kitchen. This is study. This is bathroom. From the standpoint of the house. But if you look at a house, if you, let's say you're walking, and then, on your walking route, there is a house that is being built. All that is there in the beginning is space, then 4 outer walls, and then you as though divide the space. This is outside the house. This is inside the house. This is outside the house but inside the backyard. This is outside the house but inside the front yard. This is inside the house, but then it is just a living room and kitchen. Then you enter the bedroom. All this is so arbitrary. You see this very much. So, from the standpoint of this Bhagavan, there is no universe. Just like in your dream, it is not separate from you. The dreamer is the one who is sustaining the entire dream world, which is non-separate from the dreamer. The dreamer conjures up a body for himself or herself, and the dreamer conjures up the dream Jagat. Just like that, everything is non-separate from Bhagavan, and there comes a time of understanding where there is no inside oneself and no outside oneself. There is just one unending manifestations of Bhagavan. That doesn't mean everything has to melt into some kind of a, Brahman goo. No, it doesn't have to melt. You can appreciate the name and form, knowing that it is non-separate from Brahman, just like you can appreciate the cup, knowing that it is non-separate from clay. You don't have to bash it up and send it back to clay proverbially. No, you appreciate everything. You touch everything. And you touch everything, and then you let go because it is all Bhagavan. And then finally the Mahavakya is reiterated. This is a beautiful Mahavakya. Ayamatma Brahma. Ayamatma means this I is Brahman alone. How it is unfolded very beautifully, step by step. It is unfolded. First we have to see that everything is, everything is Bhagavan. First we have to see that this Atma is Satchidananda and it is the source of sweetness for all. And then we have to see that this Atma is also Bhagavan. And then we have to see what this Bhagavatta, this Bhagavan hood entails, what the Jiva hood entails. And then having removed all that doesn't belong, then you arrive at this Satchidananda, equipped with the power that is creating this entire universe, including your own body, mind, sense complex. But the indweller of the body, Ayam Atma, is Brahma. This Atma is Brahma. Brahman means Jagat Karanam Brahma, Ishvara, the cause of the universe. So this Atma is Brahman, and what is that? Very beautiful. Sarvanubhuhu, that which is the experiencer of everything. Sarvam anubhavati, everything it experience. You experience everything. You know you exist. You know everything that exists comes to light. And everything that exists comes to light because of you, the self-sentient self. Everything that exists comes to light. Everything that shines is you. Everything that you encounter is you. And then, Sarvanubhuhu, you don't lack for Brahman experience. It's a very subtle nod to all the experience hunters. I know I'm Brahman, but how to experience it? Please tell me. There is nothing to experience outside of you. Every experience is you alone. Because in every experience, there is the experiencer, I, and then that which is experienced, the object of experience, which is what? Bhagavan, I, and then the mode of experience through what? Through sight, and then hearing, all the means of knowledge or inference, that is also you. So that which has taken away, so to speak, the distinctions between the experiencer and experienced and the mode of experience, that is this knowledge, and that is this Bhagavan, which is you. So you are the experienced, the experiencer. That which is experienced is non-separate from you, and the mode of experiencing is also you. Then what is you? Neither experiencer, nor experienced, nor the mode of experience. All this is just various manifestations of you without undergoing any change. Just like the ocean has many waves, and the waves are non-separate from the ocean, but the ocean is separate from the waves. The waves come and go, the ocean remains in its own glory. So thoughts come, I am the experiencer, I am the experience, thoughts go, but you remain in your own glory, sarvanubhuhu. And then it ends with the expression, iti anushasanam, thus is the teaching. And so really, all that it takes is to dismantle the parallel reality that comes as a result of ignorance and its broods. The ignorance gives rise to raga dvesha, that gives rise to the desires exert a force and make you want to act, and those actions, and then they force you to act, and those actions have consequences, and you don't like the results of action, so you act again and again and again. This is called Samsara Chakra. And as a parallel, as an alternative, we have here Brahma Chakra. We saw that everybody is a spoke, every jiva, everything in the universe is a spoke connected to the hub that is Bhagavan. Better to get off the Samsara Chakra, the wheel of samsara, and then identify oneself as a spoke in the wheel of Bhagavan, and then from there graduate to seeing everything as Bhagavan, and then graduate to understanding Maya Shakti as the spoof of making this creation variegated, and then actually all that is there is one Brahma Tattva that happens to me. I am Atma Brahma. All experiences arise from me and sustained by me and end in me, resolve in me. And then the Ashwins, the twins were very happy, and the teacher was happier still because he didn't have to lose his head. He says this is not included in this portion, but he says, you have done a terrible act. I mean, you beheaded me, and for the sake of this knowledge. So therefore, in order to continue the Guru Parampara, you had to engage in a terrible, terrific act of beheading the teacher. So no papa will befall you because you did this for the sake of keeping this knowledge for generations to come. And so, and the knowledge has survived for generations to come, because why? You are here, I am here, so therefore it has survived. And then we can all proudly say that we are descendants of sage Dadyang. Why? Because we got this knowledge from the horse's mouth. It is authentic. Okay? Yeah. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you very much to Shivananda Ashram for inviting me to teach. It is always a blessing. And ultimately, even though there may be listeners, one teaches for oneself, really, for one's own growing clarity and for one's own enjoyment. So both of which I have in full measure whenever I teach for the Shivananda Ashram. So thanks to all of you. Om.